Hello, my name's Noel Belknap, and I am one of the co-owners of Kapknap.animation here and here, and uh, Eric Kaplan and I started this company to make indie animations together. And but in the past, we worked on an indie pilot called Guys Next Door, and I'm here to talk about that pipeline for Guys Next Door, and sort of explain how we did it and how we did it so fast because we made 26 minutes of animation in 9 weeks, and that is very fast. It can take up to a year from boarding something to seeing it on TV, just because of how long the pipeline is, and that's not even counting recording that was before or the writing before. So this is, and even my 9 weeks, it's not counting that. It's just counting from storyboard to pencils down animation and composite. Like it's the file was done, right? We could now start doing audio, and it wasn't like now it needs to go to editing or now it needs to go to special effects. It was in 9 weeks it was done. And so embarrassingly, I recorded this earlier today when I had people to ask some questions that were interested in this pipeline, and they were like chiming in and asking questions, but I forgot to turn my mic on. Very silly me. I tested it yesterday and had turned the mic off in between times and forgot to turn it off this time because my Discord mic is different than this mic. And that was silly. That was my fault. Anyway, so I'm doing it again. And here, I'm going to explain like how I storyboard in Flash, and how if you organize correctly while you're storyboarding, that turns into an animation pipeline. So here is the little announcement video that we have posted, the first part anyway, and here's the roughs of it. And I'm gonna mute this audio so I can scrub it without it being obnoxious. And you can see some sort of roughs here. I have different drawings, and not everything is lip synced or cleaned up. I mean, it was a rough style to begin with, so there's not, some of this isn't even cleaned up. Some of it's just color behind. But here you can see I have the symbol, and I have this as raw art. And this is a symbol, but inside here is just an open mouth and a closed mouth, and some raw art, and some drawings of the character that represents me, and yeah. So and then I'm going to open up a finished file and we can compare them. But I'm skipping ahead. I should instead explain to people a little bit about Flash. So I'm gonna do that right now, real quick. So in Flash, there's something called a symbol, and a symbol is a very useful object, and this is the key to how we got everything done so fast. So as an example, this drawing is in this little bounding box, and you can tell it's a symbol because it's like this blue color. I think you can edit what color it is, but this is the default color. And inside this symbol is its own timeline and its own layers, and it can have as many layers and it can be as long as the outside timeline. There's no limit. It's the same. You can just keep making layers. You can keep going forever until it's too big for the program to handle, and then it crashes. But so here I'm able to, I could make this a symbol, and I can go in and do things in there. So I can make this mouth a symbol, and I can make a bunch of mouth shapes in there. Let me just make that real quick as an example. So I've got this. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put this over here, and I'm gonna make a new keyframe, delete that, and paste. Oh no! It pasted the wrong thing. My fault. I think I accidentally copied it. I'm gonna copy. We're gonna go in here. We're gonna make a keyframe and paste it. Okay, so with this little onion skin icon here, I can see where to line it up. And so now I've got a symbol that has these two drawings in it, because this symbol, you know, it just has these two, and the symbol now will play that. It'll play what's in that symbol. And so I can change the timing in here. I can put the audio, like I could put the audio file and just do mouth sync just in this mouth symbol, or I can put audio in this file and recall these mouth shapes. So I can change this symbol to be, I'm missing something here. There we go. I can change this to play single frame. So you hover it, it's a play single frame. So it won't just endlessly loop. It will just play the keyframe that is called up, and then I can call up frame 2, and it'll be an open mouth. So now I can have multiple mouth shapes in here like that, and then just keep making keyframes and calling up the other mouth shape. And that's sort of like a nested mouth technique that is used in Flash. And or I could just like symbolize those mouths and not have them as like a nested file, just symbols with nothing else but that mouth in it, and then just like copy paste them where I want them and make new ones and symbolize them if I reuse them. So that's sort of like how symbols are used. They're their own timeline. It's sort of like a protected piece. If I make a change to this drawing, so like say I in here I have this character open and close its mouth a couple times, and I'm even gonna like stretch it and then close it. So like I've got this sort of going on, but I want to now have this mouth be a little cleaner, have maybe some teeth and a tongue or something. So I'm gonna go onto that layer on that keyframe. I'm gonna press Control G, which is grouping, which is similar to a symbol but without the timeline and without the like protection, but it makes a little package. And I can go in here and let me change my and I want I can redraw this cleaner and like add some teeth and a tongue and do that, and then go back outside that group and select that, deselect the new clean mouth I made and delete that old one. And now when I go back out, that mouth will be the in that space where I'd used it. So that's the secret to cleanup. You can do something rough, and if you use it all over the place, then you go back and clean it up, and it's cleaned up everywhere. So that's the like key of how to do this. And that's sort of like a basic breakdown. If you don't know anything about Flash, I just want to give you a base understanding. Okay, so for in order to do this, this is my rough boards, right? And I have dialogue down here, which I've turned off so I can talk over it, because it will. I can't talk over, so I'm gonna mute it, and then and so showcase how I went from clean to this rough board to a clean board. So I'm gonna open in parallel the newest version of that file. This is recover, Kapknap intro version 02. So here, you see the clean version. Let's compare it to the old version. So here's the old one, and here's the new one, and I I've decided that this drawing of mine was going to be symbolized. So I cleaned up this one drawing, symbolized it, and replaced this older drawing. And like this one, I think was the cleaner one, and replaced it, and then had the eyes and the eyebrows. I grouped them on top, and so that's the only thing that's moving. But because I made a new keyframe, this image was being repeated, and if I wanted to clean it up, so to do the color behind, something like that, I would have had to do it twice if it hadn't been symbolized, or copy pasted it, and that's still one more task I don't have to do because I symbolized it. And so some of these I didn't symbolize because I was doing this rough and fast, and I didn't matter. I wasn't trying to get cleaner than this. So this did the job. I stretched that and squashed that, and then the mouth is not separated or anything like that. That was a. This is not. I wouldn't say this would be good for the pipeline, but it's fine for this project. And anything that got reused was symbolized. I attempted to symbolize. So here I have this hand. So I have this hand coming in and ringing the bell. And so this drawing is not symbolized because it's the only reference for it. But if I wanted to do more like follow through animation, I could have symbolized it and tweaked it a bit. And then these are all the same symbol. So I had done the animation with two drawings, right? Here, let me freeze. And then here I have this hand symbol, and I have this bell symbol. And typically I would have typically if I was organizing this, I might put the bell on its own layer, but this, because the hand is symbolized, it's not that big of a headache. If I wanted to make some nuanced changes to this stacked layer that has multiple things in it. So right now the bell is just doing that. But say I wanted, now I wanted to make a change. I want the hand to be animating and not affect the animation that I have done here. But so there's two things I could do. I can make a new layer and lock everything but this hand, and use this where I can multiply keyframes and make a new layer, make a new symbol. Make a new symbol here. Convert to symbol. So now this is just a symbol with nothing in it. It's just this X that I drew. That is not an important piece. But what I want is this little bell animation. So I'm going to come in here and copy. And what I could do is I could copy this whole thing, paste it in there, delete the hand, and then it'll just be timed perfectly for this. And then go onto this hand layer and delete each frame, delete the bell. But I'm just going to do this chunk. I'm going to go copy frames, and I'm going to go find that. I'm going to get in that X. Paste frames. Where'd it go? Where is it? Somewhere off screen. Okay, so sometimes it has its own idea of where things should paste. Okay, so I've got this now, and I'm gonna, because I have multiple key tool set on, I'm going to lasso the hand, because the hand's in one place the whole time. Delete that hand. Now there's no hand in this, it's just the bell. And then over here, I'm gonna delete the bell. So again with that multiple frame selection tool, I can delete all those bells, and now I have this is now doing its a silly little jump because it's not timed to everything, but all I have to do is set this to that's where I started copying from. Set this to play once, and set this original one to single frame. So now it does it like that. So and I could have also done something like copied, copied the hand, duplicated it, put it on its own layer, and then got into the original symbol and just deleted the drawing in it. That's another option. Like there's multiple ways to solve this problem, and that just shows you how deep and complicated and unique this program is. Where however your brain works you can probably come up with your own unique solution. So that's a little bit of organizational information. And so as you can see here, I have this is this had been symbolized. This is not symbolized because there was no other instance of it, and this is symbolized. And then this is symbolized because I did a little squash and stretch, and so I could go in here and clean up this drawing further if I'd like. This is just in between, and this is symbolized because it settles. This was cleaned up because I was showing someone else how to use Flash, so I went and used this one as an example. But I could go. So this is a more cleaned up drawing. This is yeah. So I could have organized this differently, but what I had decided to do was symbolize this open mouth drawing and symbolize this closed mouth drawing, and copy paste those two drawings as symbols around. And I could have made it more protective in the sense of organization by like just making it this single drawing and then just taking the mouth and putting that on another layer and making an open closed mouth, and then like keyframing it out instead of this. But this is what I did, and it was fine because I'm not trying to make this super clean. So it was a choice of style. So here you can see the old version of this is just, you can see the layers here is just the name and him as this rough sketch, and then these other words sort of moving around. And you can see here on the side that I have a layer with the original. This is the first pass on the board. I had drawn this word cap here, but knowing that I was going to be reusing the logo, I went into the logo and I symbolized those two words that I was going to be messing with as separate chunks, and that's inside its own symbol. So if I make a change to this, it'll make a change in that logo as well. So say I want this to be green. And so now, I didn't do it. I should do it. It should be the same thing. Maybe, that's why, because I had done a tint to this symbol. So inside here, this has been tinted. This is a color effect. So if I take this off, then it will just, you'll see the actual colors inside of it. So let's put that tint back on. And so you can see how that, again, you can see how that symbol works. And then, so and then when I was cleaning up, this is, I have a little bit more here. I broke up the body and I put the eye, the brows, and the mouth on different layers. So that way they're not, if I wanted to do any secondary animation or anything like that, they're all on different layers, and it's not hard. I'd have to break up everything and redistribute everything later. I didn't. This is just how I like to organize. Something even like the eyes and the mouth. Like if these had been on the same layer, after time, I'd have to have this would be on a separate keyframe. There's, it's just a little bit harder to. There's no point in making those little micro things where you have to have one layer to track multiple items when you could just put it all on on its own layer. And then I have, what is this? Oh, that's still, this guy's still over here. Eh. And so yeah, so I have the names, and then I spread out the character stuff. And in this one, I have the same thing, except I symbolized the body on this guy, but I because I didn't actually animate it, I didn't do this one because I was like, I guess I don't need to do that. And if I had decided to do some like squash and stretch as a whole, or have her lean back and use the same drawing or whatever, I could symbolize it at any point, and before I make a keyframe. And so here's an example. In the previous recording of this that I didn't have a mic on for, I used this mouth as an example where it hadn't been filled in, and so I closed the gaps and I made it a black filled mouth, so that way you could see how it affects when any sort of reused symbol is suddenly, now it's cleaned up in one go. So here, I broke up. It was just initially it was just a single drawing. This was my rough board, and it's this drawing and this drawing and the name, and then so here I wanted the hand to point, so I lassoed the hand out of the original drawing, and I made it into a symbol, so that way I can have it, do this little bit of animation, and I just put it behind Eric's body here, and then the mouth is doing things, and the eyes are doing things on these layers, on separate layers. And then this K is, instead of I didn't make a new symbol with this in it, all I did was make a K that blinks and sort of hides that K. So the inside here is just that symbol with those an object and then no object, timed out. And then here, this is like a reveal when it goes. Oh, let me just lock everything. So when it goes Kapknap, here this is, instead of symbolizing all these letters and having them pop in or staggering and having too many layers I didn't want to deal with, or putting another symbol, I just did a reveal where I have this like white shape, and it's just sort of sliding across. And sometimes the shape wasn't enough, so I put in a little bit of white fill. And fill is the term for drawings with that do this. This is fill in Flash. Because it's either a line or fill. So the brush is a fill tool. That's a this is fill, and then line is the line tool. So that's sort of like an example of how I organize when I storyboard. And so this was an example. Someone in the last, Paul Scarlatta, had asked how I do camera moves in Flash, and I explained that in Adobe Animate, in the old Flash, you used to be able to have a lot of plugins. There's a lot of people that made plugins for it that did a lot of cool stuff, and I had interned at 6 Point Harness and did some animation on El Tigre, and they had a plugin where it was like an overlay, and you could like zoom in the overlay, and it would be the camera. It would export as the camera because it's a vector program. It can do that, and but I don't know. There might be some tool that does that now in here, but I don't know it. I often press C by accident, and this camera appears. I don't know how to use it. I don't touch it because it's scary to me. I haven't learned. So I always delete it when it shows up. And what I do instead is just have it's like a locked screen, your frame here, and I just zoom in and out based on that frame. And so here's an example where this started out. This scene starts out at this distance, and so I put everything inside a symbol, and then did the camera move out here. So it starts off with this conversation, and then when she puts her hands up, we truck out. And So that's how I would do a camera move after I boarded everything. And I want it to be a camera move now. So that technique that I showed with the X and the hand and the bell, that's basically what I'd do here, where I'd make a symbol with nothing important in it. I just have it, it exists now, and then I'd copy paste those frames that I wanted. I'd put it in that symbol, and then I can do this sort of camera move with that symbol that I just made. And so you just have to make sure that these are set to the right keyframe, because if I do this and drag this here and then press and then that's what I tween, this will start from frame 1 again, which you don't want, because you want to start from that frame. So you to create that keyframe, just remember to do it with a hotkey instead of dragging and dropping. Or you know what frame you want it to be, so you can then correct it once you get over there. So yeah, that's sort of how camera moves work. That's how organizing works. That's sort of the bare bones. And now I'm gonna go into some Guys Next Door files and elaborate on how it looks, how it's all done in a more finished effect. Let me find. So my voice is really scratchy because I did this for 3 hours already earlier today. So this is a lot of talking for me. And so sorry if I sound terrible. Let me look up this file. All right, so I'm going to open up this Guys Next Door first sequence file, so that way you can see an old, like an early stage board and a later stage board, and flashes to thinking, and then all right, it's gonna. I am opening the later stage one as well, so maybe it's taking a second. Oh yeah, it's thinking. I'm gonna drink some water while it's thinking. This would be helpful. This is why it'd be nice to have other people in the chat right now, because I'd be like, oh, how are you doing? Any thoughts? But I'm just stuck with myself. All right, so here is the first sequence, and what we did was I had a folder with all the backgrounds that were really rough, that there was a little bit of pre-development, so I had a bunch of backgrounds. I had thumbnailed the whole script previously, and we had attempted to do this with a long distance studio in another country, and they started the process and it just wasn't working. So what I had done after I was like, I know we could just do this if I just had a couple people, we could make this happen. And so we tried that. So we switched to at home instead of this long distance situation where they were doing all the work, and hired some friends that I knew could use Flash, and or friends, coworkers, ex-coworkers. And so I took the backgrounds, I took screen grabs of those backgrounds of the initial attempt, and then made a Flash file where I'd symbolized all the backgrounds. So they all had their unique symbol. And then when I said, okay, now that you're going to be storyboarding everybody, use this file with these rough symbols, these rough backgrounds, and use them in your storyboards. And later, when we start cleaning up, it's just a matter of dropping in the clean art. So, and that's what we did. So here you can see the old version of the board, the old version of the background. So in here is just this. It's just it's like a bitmap drawing, and from the storyboard profile. And later I drop in the final piece. So you'll see that in the next folder. So here you can see this Mike Nordstrom's file. You can see this isn't his first pass. He had done, usually his first pass is like stick figures, and this is his sort of like medium pass. And he does some things where he organizes stuff in a way that I wouldn't. Like he has a lot of items stacked on the same layer, um, and he hadn't symbolized a lot of these things. Boo, hiss, um, but it's still workable because all he has to do is, kind of symbolize them and copy paste them again over here. For a lot of these things aren't moving that much. But for me, this would be like organizational hell. I'd rather everything just be on separate layers or close to, the things that don't move can share a layer. Things that move have their own layer. Um, or like make it a symbol. If it's going to be this many pieces, make a symbol with everything in it and distribute it to layers in there. And this is how Mike likes to work. So this is how he did it. And he did so the head's its own symbol and has the sort of things he was doing in there with it. Did he? And these are not symbolized pieces. And if they had been symbolized, it would have been easier for him to clean up. But Mike was really fast, and so he was able to, in the cleanup stage, still get through that pretty quickly. Let me. So here you can see the final look, and let me mute. Oh, not this, not the news pop up. Get out of here. And all right, so here you can see the background got dropped in. Let's see how he changed organizing when he was truly cleaning up. He has the head on one layer now, and still has all the body parts and stuff on this layer. But everything's symbolized now, and it has things like I think there's another scene where he has legs that has multiple moves in them, and you can see. This is his head shake now, and did he symbolize them while cleaning up? Yes, they are symbolized. Oh, that's not. But that's not that big a deal. It's not like what's one or two things that aren't symbolized. It's not the end of the world. But if they were symbolized, it would have been a little bit easier. If he had been symbolized earlier. Anyway, so this process he has the head all in one. I don't think this is necessary, but it's what he thought was what worked. You saw how I do it, where it's just the bare minimum that I need to get through that scene, and then I can copy paste those things later if I want. And why I don't like this works okay for it's not like terrible. It obviously works, and but it's just a little bit easier if it's not too deep. And his aren't too deep. Some people were doing it for too long, or for and I'll show examples of files that were organized in a way that were a bit tough later. But so this is still, the head's has all his action in it, so he can do these sorts of things out here, where that's an up and down head nod. It's not going to be in here. And he has all the pieces together, and that's all very valid and effective. It worked for him. If he were here, we could ask him if he would have done it a little different next time, but we never made a second episode. We don't know what are the lessons everyone learned from their own files. That would have been a good meeting if we had another episode. So you can see how that this sort of works. You you storyboard and organize with the symbols. And because this was a camera move, everything's inside one symbol, and he's got all these parts. And because I had asked everyone to symbolize their backgrounds in advance, it was really easy to drop in the backgrounds, and it should line up properly because they're following the rough sketch. And because this was a you can see the background animation here, so that way when this pan happens, it tweaks in a way that feels natural for a camera pan up. And then he's organized, like again he's organized this head, where he has this, the nose is symbolized, that nose is symbolized, lots of things he's reusing are symbolized, and then if they're not being reused, they're on their own layer, so they're not getting keyframed, which is what I'm calling is reusing. And then things like this mouth are symbolized because inside he has decided to do a mouth pack. Very cool. This is a very typical thing for people who have been animators. So they'll organize like this because this is how you animate in Flash with puppets. And so this system, this pipeline I have, can use it, and you can also not use it. It's not mandatory. It's just about how you personally like to organize. And mouth pack, if you want everyone to have the exact same mouths, a mouth pack in advance so everyone uses the same mouths is key, but that wasn't mandatory for my project, Guys Next Door, because I liked the aspect that the board artists, you could kind of see the flavor of each board artist's drawings, and I'm reminded, like, my first job, my first out of school job was on Flapjack, and even before I worked on that show, I was a big fan of it, and I always loved how you could tell who was boarding what sequence based on how they drew the character, because they never had them draw, like the animation company, when they sent it off, they never had them put it on model, quote unquote, put it on model. They just had them redraw the boards so it's just cleaned up boards, and the board artist's job to draw in the style of the show. And my phone's buzzing, sorry everybody. And so that with that in mind, and I think I was reminded that regular show also does that, and I'm sure there's others. And Adventure Time also. So I like that sort of the little flavors and there's all these expressions and stuff that you lose when you clean stuff up and put it straight on model, in my experience. So I've been on a lot of shows where the board, even though it's rough and it's not colored or whatever, had way more life than the final episode, and it was always sort of a bummer to see it lose life as it went through the pipeline, even though it got cleaner. It's like slightly less funny, or there's a lot of things. I interned at Pixar, so I got to see Toy Story 3. I got to see Toy Story 3 in animatic form, and it was such a good animatic. You actually left, you walked away, and it was like your brain replaced the black and white drawings with color drawings because you know the character so well. It was just almost like you walked away remembering a fully colored movie, and the jokes were really funny and blah blah blah. And so when I saw it in theaters, I was like shocked at how less funny it was. Like the expressions from the board didn't make it to the final, and so the joke wasn't as funny. There was like the timing wasn't quite as good because all this animation in between for like a punchy joke, and where it should have been a faster like hit. And so it was kind of like Toy Story 3 is a good movie. I'm not saying it's bad, but like the storyboard was like fire. Like it was so good, and none of it got to see the light of day. And so this pipeline sort of allows that sort of some of that. We hope to keep some of that magic that shows up in the board and get it through to the final. so I'm gonna open up sequence 8. And this is sort of an amalgamation sequence. We had a lot of people piling up on this one. And I'm gonna complain about someone's organizational style, but don't take that as a critique of him as a person or him as his talent or his. So I'm this guy, super good, love him, very talented, nice person, great to work with. I would work with him again in a heartbeat. And the stuff he brought to the team and to this project, very good. I had like heart attacks trying to add things to his files. So I'm going to explain why this particular style of organizing is a no-no, and if you're going to use it, use storyboard. Oh, this is the wrong file. I meant to open 7. Let me get 7. Sequence 7. If you're going to storyboard to animate using this pipeline, don't organize like this, because it's fine. Like he's typically he's animated in Flash for a living too, but he's often a board artist, and I think this way he organizes works for boards, but it doesn't work when you now need to get those boards to animate, because they're so highly organized that you can't in between them. So it was, I had to keep sort of like back organizing things he'd done, so if I wanted to go in and add some animation. So for instance, this this is a scene I added some drawings to. You can see these are the ones. And so as an example, before I go into his organizing, I go into an example of how to get stuff done from a minimal amount of work. So I have this symbol here where I did the lip sync. I have this drawing I did of him there, and then I just have mouths over it, and it's not a mouth pack or anything. It's just mouths that if I reused it, I symbolized it, and I brought it back over to where I wanted it again. So it's just one symbol with one drawing in it, and in fact, the main drawing has the mouth closed. So where I didn't, when it, if say this drawing here, where it's actually just hiding it. If you can see, it's just hiding that closed mouth shape. So this was my way to get through it really quickly. I don't have to deeply organize. I don't have to find the mouth pack and search for the exact shape I want. It's like I'd made it and I could just grab it. Oh, that was 3 frames ago, and I could just grab it, move it over. And if I made a mouth pack, I could also just grab it, move it over from a keyframe. But I didn't need to organize it. It's here now, and it's fine. But if I wanted to do like a blink or some eye animation, I could go in here and find these. I could find these and take it out of this drawing and make its own layer for eye acting, or I went too far. I could make a new layer and do the same thing I did with the mouth, where I just sort of hide the mouth, these eyes. If I do a blink, I can I need to paint normal. Okay. And like do a blink, right? I can do that as a dirty little quick. That's just I could do a better eye blink. Just if I had time, but I'm not wasting you guys' time with that. So just imagine a good eye blink with this, and you get the idea of how you could do some dirty animation.
Who's that?
Without it being super elaborate rigs. And so here you can see I have this one drawing I did, and I just lean it forward like he's changing. Um, uh, he's leaning forward, and then I have this drawing, and I tweak it like that to get some in between on it, um, and then I did the same with this one. So he rocks forward, and then he's in that position. So in the end, you have bop bop bop, and that's just 3 drawings, and you can kind of feel it, but it has a little more life than if it was just literally 3 drawings. So and that's a little just showcasing how you might organize something like that without it being super elaborate. Okay, so in here I'm going to show this nightmare that just makes me really stressed out just thinking about it. So I think I had to add some animation to the scene, and it was very hard because this is how he organized. This is how he organized. And I feel like I'm avoiding naming him because I don't want him to feel bad or feel like this is any negative. But like this really is. But I also want him to get credit for the amazing work he did. So his name's Dave Stone. He is very good, and so don't take this This works for boarding. This was just a nightmare for getting it to animation, and so he has every pose this character has in this one symbol. So if now I want, and he did this little bit of cushion animation in here rather than it being something done out here, to the actual time. And this is a problem because if I want to say cushion it even more, I now have to, if I'm working within his system, I have to take these frames and put them over here so I don't fudge with the timing on any other on any of the other instances of these, because if I change the timing here, this is now unaligned with everything else that it is in existence. And on top of all this stuff like this hadn't been symbolized, but it had been reused, all these. So like this didn't even need to be keyframed because they're not moving and they're not symbolized. And then things like this, which are this raw art, and this is raw art, and then the head has its own symbol with all its own expressions, and these heads aren't symbolized inside there. So it becomes a nightmare when I want to say, okay, well, now I gotta organize this file, and I want pretend I need some animation right here. So I guess I'm gonna break this apart. So I'll have all the parts I can use. So I'm gonna break apart. Oh no, okay, there's some issues here. I've got this is the color card we used for so they could eyedrop and when they're coloring. And then so here I've got this, and I got all these parts, and I got I got raw art, and these should be like layered differently. So when raw art is now outside a symbol off its layer that was in the original symbol, raw art always goes to the back. So now it's back there, and there's all this secondary organization I got to do now. So in order this to be functioning for me, I don't have functioning working layers here in this timeline. I'd have to make a bunch of layers if I want to spread this out. Or now I'm gonna like group him, and inside this group I'm gonna well, his arms are not grouped, so I'm gonna deselect these other groups and symbols, and I'm gonna group his arms so it's layered properly. And now his okay, so I'm gonna symbolize this and go inside there and break this apart, and then distribute this to layers. And now I can do a more detailed timed animation in this symbol. I could bring in the audio. I can do that, and I can but then in here, this head again is not. I'd have to do the same thing with the head, so I can get some like I can do antics or overshoots and settles, or and do lip flap on them. So I'd have to do that to get to this be a functioning for animation, because that hyper organization is actually like a detriment to the pipeline. So don't don't do that. Um, the I will say though, even though we had these hiccups and we had these problems, and not everyone organized the same way, and that was on me for not teaching everyone exactly how I organize, because I have this part of my brain that thinks if I do it, everyone else can do it, and if I think this way, then other people think this way, and that's not true. So I should have sat down and be like, don't be nesting, no deep nesting of your things, and I didn't. So in the end, I had to go deal with files like this that were a headache for me. It stressed me out, and, and I couldn't in between or add lip flap to, based on how they were organized. So, but I got derailed by my thoughts. But the point is, even though we had these problems with the team we had, we still managed to get 26 minutes done in 9 weeks, which is incredibly fast. And I imagine if we had a second episode and we had all of our pipeline, quirks worked out, and exactly how we organize, and everyone was organizing much closer to how everyone else organizes, we would the next episode would be even faster. Not to mention backgrounds that we get to reuse, and so it's not time spent cleaning those up. Any sort of head shapes or body, anything that we might want to not have to redraw, like all these assets that we've built for this episode can now be reused in an episode 2, as well as continuing to draw new things. And so it's really it's a really flexible pipeline, and you can sort of build it how you want it to work for your project. So if you wanted a highly on model show, you could do a lot of previs. I still would not recommend deeply nesting your objects, but you could have like body parts that you move around. The only reason I suggest not nesting your body parts, all like having a fully rigged character with like deeply nested hands and eyes and like stuff like that, is because that's typically for an animation pipeline where you have a single shot, which is only a couple seconds, and this is minutes long. And the more nesting that is in, I think the heavier the file is, because like for instance, every time this guy shows up, then this is not a good example in this. So every time this guy shows up here, it's a recall of all of this stuff, right? So every frame has 20, 50, 100 things inside of it that the computer is keeping track of. And if it had just been one drawing and the mouth on top of it, in this timeline, it would be less chunky. And so over time, if every character is like that and every action is like that, the files get too heavy, and Flash or Adobe Animate will crash if it gets too challenging for it. And so the smoother way is to not nest so deeply. And I was also going to talk about movie clips and the use of movie clips. So the idea of Guys Next Door was that it the whole thing is done in Flash. There's no other program that we used, because we didn't want to it needed to no, we didn't need that. If we couldn't have another expert on something around, it would be a problem, or have the two programs not communicate with each other very well, or have to composite later. So the idea was try to get everything done inside the same program. So for the backgrounds, I did. Oops. Yeah, click that one. Okay, for these backgrounds, I used the line tool, because in Flash, if you have a Let me make an example. So in with the fill brush, this fill, if I do this drawing, and then I zoom this out, it will scale, right? Like it's now very big. And if I do that the with this pencil tool, and I have this line, it remembers its numbers, and it will always be that thinness no matter how large or small I make it. And that is why I chose to do the backgrounds in with the line tool. And I set it to ragged, and I edited things to be the pattern is random, and it's medium. I fiddled with these things, and then I got a line. Oh, I got a line that worked for me, and I think it's like line width 2 or 3 or something. And you can see it sort of has a texture. It's not like super computerized, and there's other settings that can make it even more. And so I did it this way, so that way if we zoomed in on a file, and the line quality changing, because usually in animation you have to, if you do a close-up on something, you kind of have to have a whole new background, and it can be a lot of work that you wouldn't necessarily like. And so the idea was this, that if I zoomed in on something and the line quality was distractingly large because of it, I could duplicate that symbol, break it apart, and then resize the lines to match the actual sizing I want, and then use that for the close up. So there was a tool in there to allow for flexibility in the backgrounds, and that was the goal for that. And then there's also the idea that each character has really unique shape language and color, so it didn't matter if everyone drew them a little different, because you can always tell who Les is or who Woo's is, or there's no mistaking an Amber from Dye, because their shape language is so different. They're different bodies, different hair, different whatever. And so it was that idea that these, like, the design work, it didn't matter who handled those characters. There was no confusing who did them. And so throughout the pipeline, it allowed for some variation. So I don't know. I have no one here to like bounce off or ask questions. So I don't know what I'm missing, or if I should go over anything else. I can't remember. So if you have any other questions, I guess I can talk a little bit about the actual pipeline, not just the organizational part of the pipeline. But we started with 4 board artists, me, and then we got everyone to a finished, they finished the board, and then we started bringing on some extra animators to help. We had someone on the team have some like life emergencies that were taking, they couldn't sit at the desk as long as they could have otherwise, so it was partly to lighten the load of that, so that work wouldn't have to be put on to the other people. And we had we had money in the budget for it, and it would also make, we have this person, they can zhuzh up other people's scenes as well, right? Like, so we ended up giving this guy some of the sequences that the new person, rather, some of the sequences that were not getting completed like they should have, because this person's what's the situation. And so then that worked out, and then eventually we like a week or two later, we brought on another person. And so at the very end, there were 7 of us, and we got it all done. on time and under budget, and everyone but me and Brian Newton, was uh, Brian just likes to work at midnight. He's a late night worker. We're staying up late. Everyone else did. They're like 9 to 7, and um, and went to sleep on time and had a life. And so that's the sort of success of this pipeline. The fact that not everyone was dying, and we are able to do so much in such a short period of time. And if we were to do it again, we could maybe even do it with just 4 people or just 5 people, and sorry, not counting the director plus. So it would be just 5 people or just 6 people, and it is it's a really great pipeline. I think there's a lot of ways it could be optimized for an individual project, and I think there's a lot of flexibility as well. It's such a great program. It doesn't get enough credit. People don't like Adobe Animate because they think of it as like puppeteer animation, but this style is more like hybrid, right? You could do a hand-drawn animation, and you can symbolize and move things around like puppets, and the flexibility you have in that, I think, is really unique with this program. And so yeah, if anyone watching this has any questions more about anything else about Guys Next Door getting made, or how this pipeline might work for you in particular, how you might need something like that, for like, is there something about it that can help you, and you want more clarifying information about a specific aspect, feel free to ask in the comments. There's also something I meant to I brought it up but then forgot to follow through because I have ADHD, is the movie clips. So we use movie clips, and that is in Flash is sort of a dangerous thing, because when you first come into Flash, and the very first time you open it and you go to symbolize something, it says movie clip, and you don't want that. You want graphic. So you always have to remember to change it to graphic, and then it'll be graphic from then on. But if you ever make a movie clip, because we use movie clips, it will then be a movie clip after that. So you have to remember to change it back to the one you want when you make a new one. So as an example, I'm gonna just do a squiggle here. Oh, squiggle's hiding under something. I'm just gonna, oh yeah, oh, life's so hard. Okay, I'm gonna do a squiggle, and I'm gonna make it into a symbol. I'm gonna say movie clip. So this movie clip, it is a symbol, but it is a movie clip symbol and not a graphic symbol. And it looks a lot like the regular symbol, but it has other things that it can do. And do never put anything in this timeline, because you can't watch it. You go out here, and if I made an animation in there and I went out here, you can't see it. You can't know if it's working, and you have to export it to know if it's working. And it can backfire on you, because like there was some things we movie clipped some backgrounds, and there was like variants inside the background file, and then when you export, it's just like strobes, like, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And so you have to retroactively figure out what you're like, what's working, what's not working, and why, and you can't test it until you export it, and it's just a pain in the butt. So unless you have a very specific animation that you want to then have one of these effects on it that I'm gonna talk about, don't put other things in there. So that is the movie clip. So here I'm going to go into this background, which is a regular background, but we use movie clips to like work on these blurs and make this room look like it's glowing. So here is just these groups of colors, and here it is, and then out in the movie clip of it, where is it? Here is the filter on it is a blur, and so you can change how blurred something is, and then you can also have set something to glow. You can change the color of the glow that you want. You have all these sorts of filters that you can put. You can adjust color. um, on stuff and like change the hues of everything, change brightness and contrast. So there's a lot of cool effects you can do with these filters. And on top of that, um, there is this aspect where you can you have this sort of Adobe Photoshop style color effects that you can do. So that's the normal flash ones. So here there's like normal light, and then you could do dark and multiply light and screen overlay. So if I do like invert, if I do add, like it can, you can get a different color effect than you would otherwise, and you can do some really cool stuff with that. And that's just like a simple breakdown of like ways in which you can use this effect to get different look than you might think of as a flash look, and or even to make variants of backgrounds you already have. You can add these things to, like, now you have a shifted color, blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm starting to fade fast. This is a lot of talking for me, considering I did a lot earlier, and so I'm gonna sign off. And again, if you have any questions, ask in the comments. I'm really happy to share this with people, not only because there's a behind the scenes aspect for Guys Next Door, and because because it also, like, if anyone else wants to make something, or maybe this pipeline could be used for a show rather than it being used like AI, or maybe you can hire local people instead of having to send things overseas, or maybe you're an independent person and you want a easier way to make a cartoon. Here's an option. And so thank you guys so much for listening. Really happy to share this, and I really hope you find it enjoying. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.